how do you run a cleaning business while still having a 9-to-5? It sounds like a pain in the ass. So why is this a good business to start alongside your 9-to-5? And how would one go about doing that? All right, we got a special edition of the Johnny and Sergio show. Not really, but I want to talk about the direction of the content moving forward, because this has been like a big topic of discussion for us in the past like couple weeks. So what are your learnings, man? Tell me, spill it out. Where are we going with this? Because we've done like 20 episodes or so.
Yeah. In the beginning, like the biggest deal for us was like, let's just get to 20. Because we've tried starting like 2 or 3 other podcasts, and like they never go past 3 episodes. So
shout out the Home Detailer.
This has been a good learning experience for us, and just us committing to a podcast felt good. So where we want to take it, we just want to provide the most value. Like that's first and foremost. And a big part of our audience is people that want to start a referral agency or a remote cleaning business. So we want to talk more about that.
Yeah. No, we're going to basically exclusively talk about cleaning.
Yeah, cleaning, and then like I think interviewing other home service companies, like owners, is going to be valuable. So even if they're not cleaning, I think it's still valuable for the listeners. But
yeah, how to start a cleaning business, how to go full time, how to start alongside your job, all that stuff. We basically realized that you guys listening to this don't really care when we have like business takes or like find cool businesses. It's like you guys want to hear about cleaning, so we heard you. We're going to talk about cleaning.
Yeah.
Right? So this is going to be the go-to podcast for launching a cleaning business completely remotely, referral agency, remote cleaning business, whatever you want to call it.
That should be an ad.
And that's what we're going to talk about. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but if you do, awesome, great.
You're in the right place.
We're going to provide a ton of value. So this episode, though, we want to talk about starting a cleaning business while working a 9-to-5, which is a big topic for discussion and a question we get a lot from people who opt into our ads, people who follow us on socials, people who get on calls with our team, people who email us, et cetera, et cetera. You get the point. And it's like, how do you run a cleaning business while still having a 9-to-5? It sounds like a pain in the ass. So why is this a good business to start alongside your 9-to-5? And how would one go about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, to start off, you got to ask yourself why you're doing this, because obviously it's going to be more work on top of your 9-to-5. I think some people are looking for some passive income that requires no work. It's going to require some work. You know, we always tell people, try to put aside 20 hours a week. And I think if you go into it accepting that you're going to have some work to do on top of your 9-to-5, but you're doing it for a reason because you want to build, a stream of income on the side to where you don't have to rely on your job completely. I mean, everyone has their different reasons, but I think that's the first thing to address. But then, the question is, how do you do it? Like, where are those 20 hours being spent? What are you doing? And how is it even possible if you're working a 9-to-5?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it, because, like, obviously some 9-to-5s work better for starting this business,
100%,
right? So, like, what are some that are going to be a little more difficult? Like, what types of jobs are going to be a little more difficult to start this, and what are going to be like some easy like jobs that are like, hey, it makes a lot of sense for you to do this?
Yeah, I mean, when you're running a remote cleaning business, especially in the beginning, when you don't have an admin full time, you're going to have to answer some calls throughout the day, because a customer can call you at, 2 p.m. or a cleaner can call you, at noon. And so if you're someone that's always on meetings, then it's tough. You could hire an admin from the beginning, but in reality,
it's tough. It's tough to hire an admin from the beginning, depending on what skills you have, and if you've ever done it before or not. Because if you've never hired employees and managed employees ever, then it's going to be really difficult. Then you add on the layer of now you're hiring employees and managing employees for your own business. It's also a lot different than managing people in just your 9-to-5, because it's not your business.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people feel like that admin person is like a magic bullet. Like, oh, I'm just going to hire this person from the Philippines, pay him $800, and they're going to run my whole business for me. But the reality is, just like every other employee, you have to train them, you have to coach them constantly, not just like 2 days when they get hired. It's a process. And if you don't have that skill, then doing that from day one is tough, for sure.
Yeah,
And
and it
plus,
takes time.
you got to know what you're also coaching on. So if you don't know how to sell cleaning jobs, if you don't know how to manage cleaners, how are you going to expect yourself to coach someone else to do it? Obviously, if you're in our program, it's a lot easier because we give you like the blueprint and everything. But
Quick plug.
yeah. I mean, just quick
They're
plug.
already gonna get hit with the ad, bro.
Yeah, no, but it's true. Like we do give you the full blueprint and process and everything. But
Link in bio.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, link in bio.
Description
Okay, so
and-
if you're in meetings all the time and you can't hire an admin right at the beginning, that makes it a little tough. Definitely, if you work from home, it makes it a lot easier because you can answer calls whenever. What other jobs? If you're out in the field,
Like
what-
outside salespeople, sales in general is really good because only if you're good at sales though. If you suck at sales, like get better at sales first and then start this
True,
because the better you get as a sales rep, the more freedom you're gonna have from your company on average, right? Like the top sales reps that are generating all the revenue get to
Yeah.
create their own schedules, get to kind of work when they want, and that's a direct correlation that we've seen with some of our top students, like Baron and Helen, for example, great sales rep for US Foods. Skylar is a great sales rep for his turf robots.
yep.
And so
painting lines
Yeah.
on turf.
yeah,
That's what he sells.
Yeah, wild. So given that, like, yeah, they've got a lot of time to like operate within, hey, I know this set schedule is for my job, and I know this set schedule is for my cleaning business.
Yeah.
So
100%.
sales, if you're good, will work really well. Another thing too is probably going to be like VP, director level positions, where you don't have too many direct reports and you're not managing big teams and you just have like your managers reporting to you. You likely have a lot more free time, and if you're in that position, you're probably well tenured at your business, so you can get away with a little, off hours here and there.
Yeah.
But a big thing about this comes down to also like the leniency of your company. Like if you're working in a startup and it's like 70 hours a week, 80 hours a week, like going nuts, and then everybody's just trying to grind and build, and you're very early in the business that you work at, then it's probably not going to work out because you do need those 15 to 20 hours. And those 15 to 20 hours are going to be taken up by answering phone calls, screening and interviewing cleaners, setting up your tech stack, which you can do on the weekend. Honestly, you can do the tech stack and the interviewing cleaners all on the weekend, but it's before you have that VA in place, it's making sure you answer those phone calls.
Yeah, because if you're paying, especially if you're paying for paid advertising, dude, if you miss a call that costs you $30, it's just the worst feeling. So you gotta be able to answer calls when they come in, because the reason you would start one of these businesses because every other cleaning company is not answering their phone, and that's what makes you different. That's what makes you able to make money. So if you can't answer the phone, don't even start one of these businesses. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, to sum it all up on this point, it's like you're working a 9 to 5. Again, with this model, you don't have to do any cleaning yourself. You just have to hire the cleaners.
Right.
Right. And so early startup phase is going to be hiring cleaners, answering phone calls, and setting up the tech.
Yeah.
The
and
only thing you have to worry about is picking up the damn phone and booking the jobs.
Compared to me and Johnny back in the day, we were doing this side hustle, but we had to do the actual cleaning. And this was me while we were in college, and then we also had internships and stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. But the fact that we are in a day and age where you can hire cleaners and not have to do the cleaning yourself, man, it's a beautiful business.
I wish someone told us we could just hire cleaners.
Yeah.
Like, I wish we just did that.
I wish there was a Johnny and Sergio out there before. But, hey, we're here now for you. Okay, so that's the type of person
one
that
sec.
should or shouldn't. What?
One point. If also too, like, again, like this is just a discussion of who's it better for or not, and more likely to succeed with. It doesn't mean that if you like really want to do it, despite not being in a job where it really makes sense, you can still do it. Like I remember, to your point, I remember being in call because I would be the one to answer all the phone calls, and I would be in the middle of lecture or in the middle of taking an exam, and I'd hear my phone buzzing, zzz, 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 and like nobody really was calling me every time it would ring because I was using my personal for the Google Business Profile and all of our advertising. I would literally be running in and out of class all the time to take phone calls. So it's like it also comes down to like how bad do you want it?
Yeah, there's some students out there that wouldn't do that, but you wanted it bad.
Mhm.
So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I cut you off. What were you saying?
I don't remember what I was saying, but yeah, I mean that's basically who should or shouldn't, or like basically advice around that. Now, how would you actually go about doing it? That's what we should talk about. Like starting the actual business on top of your 9 to 5. So,
Well, let's talk about first before we do that, because we kind of touched on that. Like, what makes this a good model versus other businesses out there?
other side
Because
income
there's
businesses.
a bajillion side hustles, dude. I just got a notification for the Side Hustle Show podcast. It was like the video game mom making $300,000 a year. Like, I'm like, the hell is she doing with
That's
video
intriguing.
games? Makes me want to click it. But anyways, there's a bajillion business models out there.
Yeah.
Why this one as a side hustle?
Well, I mean, this is something that you could start with very low startup costs. I think that's the first thing is when you're a full-time employee and you get into business for the first time, it's pretty scary. And there's some side hustles out there that are going to, cost you like $10,000, $20,000 to just get started. And there's no guarantee that it's going to work. But with a house cleaning business, less than 500 or like 500 to $1,000, and you have a business.
Well, let's talk about what you need, right?
Yeah. Your tech stack is, less than $100, $150 a month with insurance. And then on top of that, it's really just your marketing and your LLC, like startup costs, things like that is like another $100, $200, but like it's really not much.
Yeah, you got booking call $57 a month. Open phone is $20 a month.
Yeah.
Your LLC, if you're not in California, is not that much. California's $800, but you can defer it. And then you have insurance, which is like $60 to $80. All in, outside of advertising, $200-$300.
Yeah. And then you don't even need to put a ton of money into advertising because there's so many ways to get cleaning jobs for free. So to the point, it's like low startup costs. I think this will make it a good business for anybody getting started with it. The other thing is a lot of these side hustles, like the video game mom, I don't know what she's doing, but sometimes they require you to have a very specific niche skill. But with this one, you don't necessarily have to have like a certain skill.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to be a good house cleaner or something like that. Be decent at sales and marketing, managing people. Like, dude, you're good.
The best skill you can have for this is hiring, though.
Hiring and managing people, for sure.
Yeah.
Some people don't know how to manage, like, if a cleaner's upset at you or, like, a customer's upset at you, they don't know how to handle that, and they freak out.
Yeah, and a lot of people,
dude, basic communication skills with humans.
And setting expectations.
Yeah, for sure.
And then people trip out on, like, oh, what if I don't get leads? It's like, dude, look around you. Drive around and, like, just keep your eyes peeled to how many buildings there are. Guess what? They all need to be cleaned over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So if you're good at hiring, it's a great business. But not only that, it teaches you all of those skills. Right? You'll learn sales and marketing in an industry where people already suck at sales and marketing, and simply turning on Google local service ads and making a couple posts and Nextdoor and Facebook is already just crushing what anyone else is doing because they're not doing simple things like that.
True.
Let alone picking up their phone, right? So sales and marketing, it'll teach you hiring, it'll teach you management, delegation.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, me and Johnny are sitting here right now recording this podcast. And when we started the first cleaning business, we were not good at hiring. So, like, you don't even have to be the best person at hiring. You just have to have a basic grasp of it, and you'll learn the rest along the way. So
yeah, we had homeless guys working for us, and
dude, don't remind me.
And we had crackheads, and
okay, we didn't know he was a crackhead, but we found out eventually.
Yeah, ended up doing it in our customer's home and left a bad review.
Yeah,
that's another story though. But we're getting sidetracked here.
Yeah,
what are we talking about?
Does not scare the viewers away.
Yeah, no, it makes it. Well,
that's what makes it a good business to start. Yeah. So low startup cost, and then you don't need a specific skill.
And you learn all the skills.
You do learn all the skills. It's a great starter business, bro.
You have the recurring revenue component built in too, because going back to my point, the buildings are going to get dirty over and over and over again. And as long as you do a good job with the recruiting portion, you get a good cleaner, that's like 80% of the work. Because you send a good cleaner, they're going to do a good job. Guess what? Your customer's going to like that cleaner. They're going to want to rebook again and again and again. And so we see our channel, or one of our Slack channels pop off every day with like, oh, I got a new weekly, bi-weekly, new monthly every day. And what's nice about this business is as you start to grow it, as long as you do a good job at staffing good cleaners and setting good expectations, well, you know how much revenue you're walking into every month. So you might do $5,000 your first month, right, to make numbers simple. You might convert a good $1,000 of that $5K to recurring. So you already know you're walking into the next month with $1,000. And then you do $5,000 again. Well, now you just had a $1K increase. But then you take another $1K to that. You know you're walking in with $2,000, and so on and so forth to make numbers simple.
Yeah, I think recurrent is one of the best things that you could have in any business, whether that's cleaning or anything else. that's something you want to look for in a side hustle for sure. Because once you have those recurrent accounts, there's less of a pressure for you to sell new accounts or new products or new services or whatever it is. So that's a great point.
If you know your fixed costs are $5,000 a month and you can walk into $10K in recurring,
boom.
What do you have to stress about?
Yeah.
You're good. You know you're profiting every month. So very straightforward. To further that point, though, the enterprise value of that business is very sexy to somebody who wants to purchase, because if you can be in business for 2-3 years and you show a steady growth of your recurring with not a lot of churn of your customers, that's very, very sexy to somebody who wants to buy your business.
Dude, let me put this in perspective for someone that's not super versed in buying businesses or selling businesses. People buy rental properties. They'll buy a house so that they can rent it out. And they're maybe, like, if you're in California, maybe getting a $500 to like $1,000 in profit on top of like the person that's renting, right? After you pay the mortgage and all the fees. So you're buying yourself, like, let's say, what is that, $6,000 to $12,000 in recurring revenue every year. If you could have a business that is making $100,000 in recurring revenue per year in profit, that is 10x what that rental property is. Like, there is people out there that would kill to have, a rental property that does $100K in recurring revenue every year. That, to put into perspective. So you could sell that because it's now an asset that is making predictably $100K per year. That's what makes it a great business to start.
Yeah, and to even further that point, there's a lot of real estate nerds out there. No offense, Chris. You're not included in that. But there's a lot of dudes. We've met a lot of them who'll be like, I've got 50 doors. And it's like, they make like $2,000 a month of cash flow. It's like, and you're putting down cash and financing these buildings and these properties. And it's like, if you just want cash flow, learn how to build businesses. And you can do it off of something as simple as house cleaning. So, just to back your point up, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay, let me just interrupt real quick to tell you about Home Service Academy. It's the company Sergio and I run. Home Service Academy is essentially a business in the box where our team will actually roll up our sleeves and help you build a house cleaning business and run it completely remotely from anywhere in the world, from dirt to however big you actually want to take it. To date, we've helped over 1,500 people start and grow their existing house cleaning businesses all across the US and Canada. It's something we've gotten very, very good at. And if you've been looking to dip your toe into entrepreneurship, whether that's to go full-time in a business, to replace an income, or just build a side hustle that produces you an extra whatever amount of money you want to make on the side, on top of your current 9-to-5, then click the link in the bio and book a call with our team. It's completely free, and at the very least, you'll see what it looks like to actually run one of these businesses, the time commitments, the amount of money it costs to actually start, and every good and bad thing that can come with running one of these. So again, if that's something you're interested in, click the link in the bio, and let's get back to the pod.
Yeah, dude. Is there any other points? I feel like we touched on all of them right there. All the good reasons to start one.
I think that's it.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so how would we start it? So, I mean, we've done it before, so let's just talk about how we did it. Ours is a little bit different because we actually had to clean the places.
Talk about my mom's business.
Yeah. We'll talk about. So, okay, we started one for Johnny's mom. For context, she was driving Uber, and she was just tired of it, huh? Her back was hurting. It was like she was grinding. She was actually making a lot of money on Uber, but she was driving like 12 hours a day.
No, dude. Yeah, she was making like 5. Like a good month was $6K. Right, but keep in mind
that's a lot for Uber though, right?
Yeah, it's a lot, but keep in mind like all those miles on the car, the gas back end, even with the Prius.
Yeah,
dude, she was racking up the miles. She was getting a new Prius like every couple of years because she did Uber for a minute. And keep in mind, she's 65. She's 60. How old am I? 20. She's 66 now.
Yeah, bro. Exposing
and
her.
So she was 64 or 63 when we started this business for her, and she'd been driving Uber for 4 or 5 years at that point, and just busting her back. Yeah. Paying $3,200 a month in rent in Orange County, California. And we're like, hey, this is for anyone who doesn't know the story. We're like, hey, we're going to launch this business for my mom, and we're going to knock out 2 birds with one stone because it sucks seeing my mom drive Uber, and also me and Sergio spent a lot of time living with me and my mom too, so like they've got a real tight relationship as well. But she was driving Uber, and we're like, let's knock out two birds with one stone. Let's launch this cleaning business using the skills that we gathered with the window cleaning and using contractors and the whole referral agency model.
Right.
And on top of that, let's also live tweet it and make content about it so we can also build our following. So we'll retire my mom from Uber and build the following, right? And so what we did was we opened up a new Amex, and we put the website, Booking Koala, the insurance, and the LLC. We just deferred it, so we didn't have to come out of pocket for it yet. We put all that on the credit card. We spun up Mary in a Mop, which is still around to this day, and we launched with $2,000 on the credit card on Yelp ads in California. So $0 total out of pocket. Mom's still driving Uber. Got her on her phone app, on Open Phone, was like, answer these phone calls and book the jobs. Right,
she was still driving Uber at the time.
Yeah.
Like, she would just pull over on the side of the road and take these calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she found the cleaners on her spare time on the weekends. She found her first one, Susanna, huh? That was like one of her first ones, and she ended up being like a freaking rock star cleaner. And once she had that cleaner, we got a couple jobs in the door. The Yelp ads did pretty well. I think we returned $8,000 from just those 2K ad spend. Dude, yeah, that's how she did it.
No, it was 12 because it was $4,000 of profit. And I remember that was like enough the first month to be like, okay, this makes sense to go full time. And then after 1 month, it was boom, done. Never has driven Uber since.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was a good feeling for her, for sure. I mean, dude, I know we're making it sound simple, but it really was that simple. Like,
but you also have to think, dude, like we did it for like 4.5 years. Like,
yeah, in terms of us setting it up, we knew how to do that. We knew how to get the leads coming in the door. She knew how to close them, because if you guys have ever met Johnny's mom, she's just a closer. Like, always be closing. And she just had that in her. So, I mean, really, dude, she would just answer the phone. I remember you thinking that she was talking way too much to these people.
She was pissing me off on her sales calls.
But, I mean, that's what she was doing. She was just connecting with people and trying to understand their situation. Like, why do you need the cleaning? And then, I'm going to send my best cleaner there, and we're going to take care of you. That's all she was doing. She was closing jobs. Right? So, shout out to Mary.
There's a lesson in there, and it's people buy from people they like.
For sure. Yeah, she's a good connector. Like, just networking with people and getting to connect with people. And I think that's where people mess up, is they think it's so transactional. Like, someone calls for cleaning, and they'll just ask the basic questions, like how much bedrooms and bathrooms do you have, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's going to be $400. They're like, oh, you're too expensive, bye. And then people think it doesn't work. But it's not that. It's that you need to get them to like you, and then they want to work with you.
It's hard for me to believe that people don't think that this works, because house cleaning businesses, there's a bajillion franchises in the space. Like, do you think they would be franchising if there wasn't money to be made in cleaning? 2 maids and a mop sold for like $50-something million.
The amount of comments I see on our posts that say, "Who would pay $300 for a house cleaning?"
Dude. I get that. We get this all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I would never pay that. It's like,
bro, it's because you're 18, living in your mom's basement, and you're broke. That's why you wouldn't. But
no, there's grown-ass adults that are in their 40s. I would never pay that. It's like, dude, just because you would pay that right here doesn't mean Chris right here won't pay it. Or his neighbor or the next neighbor. Everybody's got a different willingness to pay. So people don't understand.
For sure. And you got to think about it. There's a lot of houses that are above 2,000 square feet. That's a lot of freaking house for a cleaner to clean. Like, you're paying for straight up, like, labor. Labor is expensive. People got to eat. So $300 is a very reasonable price to get your whole house cleaned.
That's actually a really good point, because remember when we started Orange Window Cleaning, how scared we were to charge high prices?
Yeah,
because
I get it.
We were both broke, right? We were both broke. We had never known what it was like to
We were 18 years old.
No one was like to make money, and we were like,
right.
"Oh God, we're gonna charge this person." I remember
the first job we charged
$100.
Well, we wanted to charge $120. We got scared and we charged $100. It took us 5 hours to do it, and looking back on it, it's just funny to think about us in that state. But fast forward a few years later, our minimum was $250 for like a house of the same size.
It got up to $300.
Yeah, and that was just because we had people to pay. And you got to take into account the transportation and all that stuff. I don't want to get too deep into that, but labor is expensive, especially in America. where everything else is expensive.
Yeah.
So
The lesson,
you gotta get that.
The lesson there is don't pocket watch. Just don't pocket watch because you got to think
can't
when
assume
you start.
what other people are willing to pay.
You got to think if someone's calling your business for house cleaning, they're in a certain tax bracket most of the time because they don't have the time or they value their time more to not do the cleaning.
I will say
most of the time.
Yeah, I will
Exceptions
say,
don't make the rule, dude. I get it. There's gonna be people who are like
you compare it to window cleaning. Window cleaning is definitely like that. House cleaning, there's a lot of people that call you and they want one room cleaned or something. Like, oh, can you come clean my bathroom? Those we're not talking about those people, and you're gonna get some of those calls. But like Johnny said, if they're asking for the whole house cleaned, like you gotta know that they're willing to pay.
yeah, they're willing to pay, so charge them accordingly.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're not gonna get every single one, right? Like, don't go into this if you do launch a business. A cleaning business specifically, and you start dishing out jobs and spending money on advertising and sending quotes out, and people aren't biting really quickly, and they're saying, "Oh, it's too expensive." Like, don't think emotionally. Think in terms of the numbers, right? So, like, what we say is a good close rate is always like 40 to 60%. You're in that range, you're golden. Because
which means that 6 people out of 10 will tell you no.
Yeah,
and that's a good close rate.
Yeah, that's a great close rate because. Like, you could charge $100 a clean and probably close 9 out of 10, but guess what? You're not making any profit.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to pay your cleaners well. It doesn't serve anybody. You attract shittier cleaners because you're paying them less and they do a shittier job, and then everybody loses. You get bad reviews.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make any sense anyways. But I feel like we're getting off on a tangent here. What was the original thing we were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the original thing was just how we would do it.
Oh, yeah, the lesson, though. Don't pocket watch. That's the lesson. I'm going to wrap it up there.
That's a good lesson.
Yeah. You said, how would we do it?
Yeah, we're just talking about how we did it.
Yeah.
How
So
we would
let's talk about that too. So with Marrying a Mop, right? Like, you've got your phone system that you're going to set up because you don't want to mix your personal and your business. We learned that lesson because I had my personal cell phone and I would never know if somebody was calling me for like random stuff or like business. And so I just have to pick up every phone call, and sometimes I pick up calls that I didn't want to pick up. So always separate your personal and your business, and it also creates more organization because you can be able to track who's calling the business phone number, stuff like that. Then your insurance, like, don't pay more than $80 a month for your insurance. You're just going to get general liability. And you're also going to make sure your cleaners that you hire have their own insurance, and yours is just kind of a backup to theirs in case they go ghost or something happens. But it does, and then you're going to hire cleaners, right? And you use places like care.com, housekeeper.com, Indeed is my favorite, Craigslist, local Facebook groups, Nextdoor groups, right? We have tons of videos on the channel about how, like really in-depth videos on how you can actually tactically like build out the hiring process and the sales process and the marketing process. But once you get your cleaners, it's get them leads, right? And you can do that in a multitude of ways. You've got Google local service ads. That's the lowest hanging fruit. It takes 5 minutes to sign up and 2 weeks max to get approved. And then you've got your Google business profile, which you're going to ask your customers for reviews on. And over the long run, the more reviews you get, the more that's going to pay you dividends because you're going to start to rank on the first page of Google and in the actual map pack. Then you're going to look at places like you can test Thumbtack in your area. You can test Yelp in your area if you're on the West Coast specifically. I would even say go as far as to test Angie leads. Some people have success with that, even though it gets shit talked all over the place. Like, different things work in different areas. And your whole thought process behind this is not so much I'm looking to make a ton of money month one. I'm looking to build for the future, right? 6 months, a year out, because all you're doing is you're spending money to acquire the customers at the beginning, which when you're quoting out the first time deep cleans, you won't make much money on because you have to factor in your customer acquisition cost, right? How much you're paying on ads to acquire a customer into your business. And that's also going to be affected by how good you are at sales, because the more leads you close that you pay for, well, the lower your CAC is going to be. But you got to factor that into that first time clean. You're not going to make much money, but where you make the money is on the back end when you convert them to recurring, right? Yeah. And so don't come into this expecting like, oh my God, like I see you guys post your videos of guys doing 10K their first month, 20K their first month. It's like, yes, that's revenue. It's not profit. And yes, they were profitable, but look at their businesses 2, 3, 4, 6 months, a year out when they have a book of business built and a stack of recurring revenue coming in. Now you're starting to see the benefits of the lifetime value of this business, which is the best part because you pay for a customer once and then their house gets dirty forever. So if you do a good job, going back to our point earlier,
Mm-hmm.
well, now you make, you pay $60 to get a customer, but now they stayed with you for a year. You just made $2,000 off of spending $60. Like, show me where those returns are on your, like, 3 doors, bro. Like, you don't get those types of returns. You know what I mean?
No, but okay, that's a good point, dude. I think that's what makes this business so good to start as a side hustle, is you're not relying on the profit from those first jobs to, like, support your whole life, which makes it a lot less stressful because you have your full-time job still. You still have that income, but that gives you the ability to build this on the side so that you can think 6 months out and not be worried about the profit that's coming like month 1, but month 6 when you, like you said, have all the recurring jobs and you have $5K in profit.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes it great for a side hustle.
Yeah, 100%. And dude, that's such a good point too. Like, the longer you can build your business without having to worry about pulling dividends and income out to pay yourself, the better foundation you're going to build for your business.
Yeah, we had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah,
because we always relied on the business to pay ourselves from the beginning, and that just puts a really big strain on the business.
yeah.
So
especially if you're bootstrapping too, like if you can build up a cash cushion in your accounts to test different things, like maybe SEO or whatever it may be, the better off you're going to be, the less scarce you're going to think, the longer term you're going to think, which is going to ultimately benefit the business and build a bigger business in the long run, because this stuff does take time.
we see our best students in the program, like in Home Service Academy, are the ones that think that way, and they have good paying jobs, and they're still there even after their business is making $50K in revenue per month. And it's because they have that ability to look long term, save money up in the account, and just build like a really freaking good business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's called retaining your earnings. The longer you can retain your earnings, the better. Unless you're running some like high margin, like crazy, like one-off business, 9.9 times out of 10, it's better to build a cash cushion, lay the foundation, and then when the business is sustainable after a little bit, then start to pay yourself a little bit out of it.
Yeah, and that's why in this podcast we're talking to the corporate 9-to-5 people, not the person that's working at Burger King that is struggling to pay their bills. And there's nothing wrong with Burger King.
Hey, look, if you're working at Burger King and you're watching this, no shade with what he just said, by the way.
I said nothing's wrong with Burger King.
Just the way it came off was just a little
Actually, I like Burger King.
But look, I've worked at Rita's Italian Ice, man. I've worked as a water park lifeguard.
We both work minimum wage jobs.
Yeah, like, I get it. And if that's you, you can still do this. Just don't hire the cleaners. Go do the cleaning yourself, because now you replace a minimum wage job and you capture all the margin that you would pay your cleaner for a really high-paid $50, $60, $70 an hour service.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we're paying our cleaners $25 to $35 per hour. This is how much they make as a cleaner. And then on top of that, we're taking home another $25 in profit.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be making $50 an hour cleaning houses, which is pretty freaking crazy. Like, that's what we were doing back in the day before we transitioned to this model. But yeah, I mean, if that's you and like you know that you're not going to be able to do that sustainably, invest in that, then yeah, maybe you got to be the guy cleaning the houses. Nothing's wrong with that.
We did that for 4.5 years.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's nothing wrong with that. So if you work at Chipotle, Burger King, McDonald's, whatever it is, don't get
In-N-Out,
discouraged.
Chick-fil-A, keep naming them.
Any minimum wage
McDonald's.
job you work at, you can easily, like, and you're sick of making minimum wages.
Dairy
So just
Queen.
a side note, because I want to talk to these people, because they do need the help.
Yeah.
Start a service-based business. It doesn't even have to be house cleaning. Go clean windows. Go wash cars. Do something, because you can charge outrageous amounts, $100 an hour, $200 an hour. Like, our target production rate at Orange Window Cleaning was $125 to $150 an hour per employee.
Mm-hmm.
That was what our production rate was. And so if you can match that and just do the work yourself, dude, I remember the summer of 2018 or 2019 when we had those Pat Mahoney accounts in Anaheim Hills, and he would pay us like $5,000 every time we do it. Takes like a week. We'd make $2,500 in a week a piece. And I would come home, and my wallet wouldn't even close. It was so fat with the hundreds.
Big baller.
And I was dating this girl at the time, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're so rich!" And I felt like a freaking baller.
Yeah.
And that was literally the year before I was a lifeguard making minimum wage. So, just for the people out there, feel free.
Yeah. No, I mean that reminds me of a funny story. When I was working at an internship for engineering, I was getting paid like I want to say it was like $20 an hour. Like, it was like pretty good.
Was this your first one or your second one?
This was my first one. Did I have to?
I was thinking about your job.
Yeah,
First one was internship, yeah.
Okay, so I was making like $20 an hour, but like obviously I'm on the path to like becoming an engineer, which would make a lot more. And when I quit, like 6 weeks in to like keep doing the business, my boss asked me, he's like, dude, how much money do you make cleaning windows? And I was like, I make more than this. I make more than $20 an hour. But yeah, that's a funny story.
That felt good.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it sounds stupid to say that you're quitting your internship to be a window cleaner, right? But it was more than that. We were trying to build a business that was going to be like a 7-figure business. Like, that was my vision. So
yeah,
I didn't really care about the details.
Yeah, it just comes down to the math and the unit economics. You told me a story a while ago about like how you'd be in civil engineering class and you'd just be thinking about like, if I just clean this many windows at this dollar rate, this is how much money we could make. You did the math and then you like couldn't think about school anymore because you just thought about the business. And that's at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter what you do, what you sell. Like, you're in a down bad situation and you're entrepreneurial and you have big ambitions of doing something with your life. Just start some type of service. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, crush your ego. Just go do it. It's fine.
And you can start the service on the side of the Burger King job.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
usually they're probably only giving you like 30 hours a week. So what are you doing with the other 100 hours a week, right?
Yeah.
You can go clean houses, clean windows. Like, that's what we were doing. After class, we'd go clean windows. In between our internship, whatever, we go clean windows.
When I was working at Rita's Italian Ice, I'd be there at night, and we would pitch around those storefronts during the day, and then in the middle, because it was hot in the middle of the day, we would stop to get Italian Ice.
Yeah.
And then I would go back at night to work the job.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can happen.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in home services, especially in house cleaning. That's like one of the most broad services that there's the most demand for. Mm-hmm. So yeah, all that to say that the referral agency model is a great model. It
is, yeah. It's the best. Big fans.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if you're listening to this, I hope you learned something. You took something away from this, and if you're thinking about starting one of these businesses, obviously you can just watch our content, and there's more than enough information in there to do it yourself. But you can also go to Home Service Academy, where we teach you exactly how to do it with all the processes and all the playbooks and copy and paste basically everything into the business. So
yeah, we've been doing this for 7 years, guys. Like we've helped 1,500 plus people build these types of businesses. This is not even me selling you. Like, it's just me saying that, hey, like, we're here for you. Like, if you really want to build a business and you want people who are going to be by your side and roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty and really make sure you get success, then subscribe to the YouTube channel, watch the stuff for free, because we give out basically everything for free anyways in the description. But also, too, if you want, like, more, like, handhelded support, just click the link, book a call, and see what it looks like.
See if it makes sense for you.
Yeah.
And lastly, since we're over 20 episodes, we haven't asked anybody for reviews. So if you're listening to this on the podcast app, on Spotify, please just give us a review. If you had any value from this podcast, I mean, even if it's a 2-star review and you have to give us feedback, we'll take that too. So just let us know what you think. I'll take a 5-star though. Yeah,
and if you're listening to this and you're not watching and you're just hearing me right now, and you just heard that ask for the review,
what?
And you're not gonna go do it, I want you to remember my words. That's it. That's what I'm leaving it with.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.